who are your critics, would say you were a de facto leader from December 2nd, where Adama Barrow, the president of this country, looked at you and said, you are my father. Where the president of this country looked at you and said, you are my political father. So,
well, let me tell you,
if for example, you are disagreeing with what actually had happened, or the change that you envisage has not manifest, do you have any regret in that?
I do not have any regret. I would have had regret if what you said was in fact the truth. When Adama Barrow said I was his political godfather, then I was in prison. He used us as a campaign tool. Hussein Dawalon Famati. Ni fa fata isi kumbo. Banala korda teta ila barakanta yalot. I was in prison. So it was not, he did not say that when I was adopted as minister. And let me tell you, this is what Gambians didn't know. I have never been consulted on any major thing by Adama Barrow. The only time I've never been.
Okay.
I have never been. I have never been.
You've never been consulted.
Consulted by him.
How much were you influential?
That is because you would be influential if you are consulted. You would be influential if you are consulted. I have never been consulted on anything. In fact, I mean, I have to say this, an issue that affects my ministry. When I was foreign minister, Ambassador O.G. Salla, his case came up. That's right. His case came up. That used to be removed. And
remove us?
As ambassador.
Okay.
And I said, please, don't.
Who did you told that to? Adama?
The president.
Okay.
The president. In fact, the president said, because look, we are hosting the OIC conference. You do not want to recall this gentleman and then appoint a new ambassador. It will take time before you get an agreement, and it will also take time before that ambassador establishes relationships with the influential members of the OIC. This gentleman already has that. So let us leave him. After the OIC, you can say bye-bye. And what was his response? I will consult my technicians. Billahi wallah.
Who were those technicians?
I don't know. And then I said, Your Excellency, your advisors are Mr. Jallo on matters affecting agriculture. OJ is your advisor. Matters affecting foreign relations, I am your advisor. Local government administration, Islamian Diba. I said, well, it's okay, but I'll consult with my technicians. And I left, deflated. And I also tell you this, when Habib Drama was being removed as Secretary General, I didn't know. I went to him, consulted him on certain issues. It was on a Friday, on certain issues. And when I left his office to return to my office, just before, I have that big tree, around the Vice President's office. When I got there, then one of the security officers came and said, HE wants you back. I went back. I said, well, I've taken the decision to really relieve Mr. Drame of his position as Secretary General, and he gave reasons, and okay. I said, but HE, I don't think this is the right time. Tomorrow, you are going to China for the FOCAC meeting. She is the head of the technical team. If you remove him now, who is going to head that technical team? He already knows what he's going to do. So please, don't relieve him his position. Leave him. If you come back from China, after the forecast, do whatever you want to do. And then jokingly I told him, but Mr. President, there's the story that you are born on a Friday. So you know, that Friday was a very good day for your family. Everybody was happy in the family that we have got a new addition. Everybody was happy. So please, Fridays, don't remove anybody from office because you send, sadness in the family. Don't do that. Yeah. Honestly, I have never been consulted, and this is the impression people that have.
Even with appointments?
Even with appointment, billahi, no appointment have I been consulted on. I made recommendation for appointments in the foreign service, and they were accepted. But I have never been consulted on any other appointment.
But Mr. Darboe, why wouldn't the president consult you, as you said, at some point, foreign affairs minister, and later part as vice president? Why wouldn't he consult you?
Why he wouldn't consult me? I think that should be a question for him, not for me. As foreign minister, the recommendations, some of the recommendations I made for appointments, and they were not my appointments, they were recommendations. He could have rejected them. Just as he told me that OJ said, I'm going to consult my technicians.
But we saw that OJ kept his job.
Well, I don't want to tell you why.
We need to know. This is state of affairs.
No. It's okay. It's all right. And I also tell you that there were 2 other appointments, ambassadorial appointments, that I had no idea about. They came. I saw them.
Can I pick one name out of the bag? Ablai Bojang in South Africa.
Yeah,
Many said.
Ablai Bojang. I recommended him, and I do not have regrets for recommending him. Look, we have to be right. We said we want an all-inclusive government. And the cabinet, you have Mandingos in the cabinet, you have Fulas in the cabinet, you have Akus in the cabinet, you have Manjagus in the cabinet, but not a Jola. And for me, Ablai Bojang was a fit candidate to be appointed as ambassador. And reason is because a member of the National Assembly under Jammeh had disclosed to me that when the emergency, when the state of emergency was being, Mr. Bojang took steps to abort it. And how? That he had sent out messages, soft messages, to some members to be absent so that the required votes would not be got.
That in his capacity as a speaker then?
Yeah. He couldn't come out in the open and say, please don't come. But I understand he has sent out those messages. But then someone leaked it, and then, someone who was another person who was very enthusiastic to have this state of emergency declared, told the president that this is what Mr. Bojang did. Probably, if Jammeh had stayed, probably Mr. Bojang would have paid for that. But I thought, I thought he was really someone, who I believe could be, a representative of the Jolas in government at that level, although my preference would have been to be in the cabinet rather than being in the diplomatic service.
Did Mr. Bojang return similar favors at the earlier phase before their cabinet, their parliament wrapped up, when you made several amendments in terms of the age gap, the upper age?
I'm sorry, I did not make, again, this is the fallacy, Again, this is the fallacy.
I guess you know where I'm driving to.
Again, this is the fallacy, If that, after that amendment was made, if Ousainou Darboe was immediately appointed as vice president.
Not only the amendment of the president's age, we talk about the deposit for the parliamentarians, we talk about the age gap, the upper age for the judges.
Certainly the upper age for judges, I am not a judge. Maybe if I hadn't gone into politics, I would have wanted to be a judge of the Supreme Court. And really, those amendments were certainly not for the benefit of any particular individual today, any person who is above the age of 65 years is qualified to contest as president of this country. So it's not made for Ousainou Darboe as people. And in fact, the media sometimes, falsely project. After all, the removing of the increase in the age of judges before they retire, what benefit is that to Ousainou Darboe? After all, we were judged. After all, it was meant to really strengthen our judiciary. People who were capable in their youth, they are still young, and they have a lot to offer, can continue to serve as judges. In fact, one of the celebrated English judges was a judge up to the age of 80 years, Lord Denning. So if you increase the age to 75, you want to say that is Ousainou Darboe. But if it is Ousainou Darboe's doing, I think we've done something good for the country. That is why we still have some judges who have served in some other Commonwealth countries, Gambians, they are still part of our Supreme Court. If it was me, well, I accept. And we say that we have done good for this nation. We have opened up the door, for every Gambian who is 80 years to be able to contest as president of in this country.
But then you don't have a single parliamentarian in the assembly. The coalition did not have. So one thought what has transpired in the assembly with the majority APRC, the reward for Ablaye Bojang was to be an ambassador. Do you agree?
Well, I don't agree. I don't agree at all, because that was done after Ablaye Bojang was appointed as ambassador. In fact, this bill that we are talking about came in after this national assembly.
Ablaye was the speaker of the assembly.
Ablaye was the speaker.
Yes.
But certainly it had nothing to do with it. Okay. It had nothing to do with it. And let me say that Ablaye didn't vote. He, as speaker, never had a vote. He could only have a vote maybe if there was a tie. So what has Ablaye got to do? I mean, he was their speaker. He could not reject the bill because he has no authority.
Soft messages.
He had no authority.
So maybe he did the same soft messages at the time.
If he did the soft messages, that has never influenced me, and in fact, it could never have been my consideration. My consideration has only been want a Jola, And some people are saying, but there are other Jolas. But for me, I thought, with the position that he has risen to as speaker, he must be a very highly respected person in the Jola community, and that his standing really as speaker would not make any government raise an eyebrow when you ask for an agreement. I know there were other equally, well-known people among the Jola community. But then, said to myself, that could they raise an objection to the agreement being granted to the person because of A, B, C, and D? And I didn't find anything faulty with Ablaye Bojang.
Thank you very much, Mr. Darboe. Well, viewers, once again, we remind that you're watching State of Affairs here on QTV. I'm your host, Aliou Cissé, with my co-host, Idi Cissé, and our guest tonight is Honorable Ousainou Darboe, leader of the United Democratic Party, the UDP. We'll go with a short commercial break, and when we return,